Well, good morning, everybody. And we are in this series called The Power of Routine. And so I'd like to do is say good morning to those that are watching at the Restoration Project, or good morning to those that are watching at home. We're thankful that you decided to hang out with us, and we're kind of excited for. And really, a lot of times I think that as we start a new year, and I know, granted, we're a couple weeks into the new year, and we start losing those things that we set as goals. Anybody set any New Year's resolutions for this year? And they go, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Anybody still doing them? You know, because a lot of people go, I want to go work out, I want to go do this, I want to go do that, and then actually, you know, you get 10 days in, you're like, oh, it's over. And so what we wanted to do is kind of start with this, start building routines. Anybody know that if you do something, I forget the exact amount of days, but you build a routine. I think, is it 42 days? If you do it for 30 days, if you do something for 30 days over and over again, you start to build a routine, and it starts to become habits. You build habits from that. And so as you start to do this, and so we're trying to build these healthy habits, and I think that some of us, we just don't have very good healthy habits. I think that some of our habits, most of the times when we hear about them, they're negative habits. When somebody goes, what habits do you have? We don't hear good habits, right? When people go, I do this, I smoke, I drink. Those are the habits that people go. I drink caffeine, I do whatever. What does it look like? And so people go, those are the habits I have. They don't ever go, well, I read the Bible every day. I serve, I spend time in prayer, those are my habits. That's just not what the answers that we hear from some of that stuff. You know, my son one day came in, Melissa and I were laying in bed, and so our son came in the room, and he comes in and he goes, Dad, why do you and Mom always lay in bed together? And it is. It becomes like one of those awkward things. Is it frisky Melissa? Is that what it is? You know, is it? You know, it's obviously it's not her. Everybody looks at her and so, but you know, it's like, you know, and I go, oh, we're just loving on each other, and he goes, you're always loving Mommy. And I go, I don't know if that's a good thing, right? Is that a good statement that you want him to make afterwards? And you know, is that something that you? Melissa always goes, you can't say that. He's going to go say that in school, or he's going to go say that in someplace. And I go, well, what would you like him to say? He's going to go into school and go, my dad always lays in bed loving on Mommy. I don't know. We don't want him to say that, right? You know, what do we want him to say? You know, here's one of these questions I asked. If you watched the video at all that I put out, if we emailed it out this week, what do people always say about you? You know, if they had to label you always, what is the always statement? What do they always see you doing? What is it that he always, she always, what is it that people say? And really, what would others say that you're always doing? What would others say that you're always doing? You know, are you always encouraging? Or are you always griping? Are you always finding faults? Or are you always finding good? Well, you know, when you start looking at this, are you always working? That's a big thing. You talk to, especially where we've gotten to this point where we find our value and our worth in our work. You know, we go, what do you do for a living? And if we don't think that living, or whatever that is, if we don't think that it's good enough, we determine our worth in it. You know, people go, I'll tell you, as I read an interesting thing yesterday, I was reading, I'm an avid news reader, I would say. Do you know, if you work at In-N-Out as a manager, do you know what the average salary in California is for an In-N-Out manager? So this last year, the average manager of an In-N-Out made $160,000 a year. The average manager made $160,000 a year at an In-N-Out. Now, I just want you to think about something. Do you think that they have a problem walking around going, I manage an In-N-Out? I'm telling you, I know that they don't. Because if you make $160,000 a year, you're proud of what you do, right? You're like, I do this. If you were shoveling horse manure, right? You know, and you made $160,000 a year, you're going to be proud about it, right? You're going to go, I shovel crap for a living, and I'm absolutely enthusiastic about it for this type of money. You'd be excited to go to work in the morning. You'd be like, I love it here. This is great. You wouldn't be upset about it, but we define our value in our work, right? So we don't make very good money about it. And we go, I remember when I was, when I was at 16, 18 years old, looking at my first job, the minimum wage for flipping burgers and doing fries was $4.25. It wasn't going off and being like, hey, I think In-N-Out, the minimum wage at In-N-Out is $13 an hour, by the way, now. So if you need a job and you're looking for something, In-N-Out's hiring at $13 an hour. And when you get there, it's like and granted, I'm on a whole separate topic rather than this routine things, but I'm just talking about when we define our work, when we define our value by our work, sometimes we end up, and if you make it, if you do something that you're trying to strive, a lot of times people are always working to get there. What about you're always playing video games? Or you're always working out. Anybody have that? I don't have that, obviously. Are you what is it? Are you always at your business? Are you always sharing Christ? Does anybody ever make that statement to you? Are you always sharing Christ? Because a lot of times, that's all right. That's all right. If they don't want to hear it, that's okay. Are you always sharing Christ? Or are you always on Instagram? Are you always on Facebook? Are you always in one of these places? What is it that people would say that you're always doing? Are you always being self-serving? Or are you always being self-gratifying? Are you always being self-promoting? And I'll tell you right now, that is the culture today, though. That is what today's culture is, to be self-promoting, self-gratifying. That's when we go out and we go, I got to take care of me. And we're starting to perfect the art of self-promotion. I don't know if you guys know that. We are perfecting the art of self-promotion. We go out and we go, I'm going to do what I want to do, where I want to do it, when I want to do it, and I'm going to let everybody know about it. And I want everybody to know who I am or what this is. And really, there's an article in the New York Times that talks about the six ways to get your work discovered. And literally, we put this out there. And really, when you look at this, self-promotion is a skill that you build. You go out and you do it on your own. Do you know that more than half the teens want to be famous? More than half of teens right now want to be famous. That's what they're after. They're looking and going, I want to be famous. They don't go, I want to have a purpose. I don't want to have anything else. I want to be famous. My son, yesterday we were putting a table in his room. And as we're sitting up and we're putting this table, he comes up and he goes, Dad, that's my YouTube table. Your what? That's my YouTube table. And I go, I need my YouTube channel set up so I can sit there and create YouTube videos. And I go, you're 6, dude. I tell you, this is not a fake conversation. This is exactly what he said yesterday. He goes, I need my YouTube channel set up so I can sit at this table and create videos. He goes, I want to put together, and so, because I don't know if you guys have any kids that are watching other kids playing with toys. Anybody have those, that their kids are watching these videos? I go, dude, you have all those toys, go play with them. You don't have to watch other kids do it. You have literally all of those. And nope, I'm going to play with them, and I'm going to get all the subscribers. I want to be just like them. I said, how many episodes do they have? I don't know, like 3,000 or 4,000? Okay, well, but that's the thing. We all want to have this YouTube channel, this YouTube table. We want this famous. For career, our teenagers going, I want to be a celebrity. A celebrity doing what? What do you be famous doing? I love the line. Anybody ever heard of they want to be the GOAT? The GOAT, the greatest of all time. The GOAT. Oh, nice. And so here's the thing, Matthew 23:11. When you read this and when you see this, the greatest among you will be your servant. The greatest among you will be your servant. When you look at this and you go, what is this? So here's the thing is, what are you always doing? What is it that you are always doing? Are you always serving, or are you always trying to be served? It's a big question, and are you selfless? Are you willing to deny yourself so that others can have? Melissa and I, we tend to have, if you look at us, we might have stuff, but we tend to be willing to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations in order for others to have as well. We go, hey, we'll open our home up. We're willing to basically adopt a family. We're willing to do whatever's necessary in order so that people. It's not about us. It's about what we can do. And we have these questions sometimes, and we go, did we? Even though we might have opened our home, did we honor God by doing that? Were we encouraging? Were we helpful? What did we do? And And so there's those questions that we have that are reflection, but we always want to go. Are we doing and are we being selfless? What God has given us, are we letting others use, are we helping others come to know who Christ is by who we are and being selfless? Because a lot of times we become selfish. We get this, when Melissa and I were buying our home, we walked in, and we started putting things. We go, okay, this here we could do small group in this room, and still have our living area in the back. We could, this is how we laid out our house. That was the intention we walked in when we were buying our home. It was about, this is what we can utilize this for to help reach others for Christ. But I think a lot of people, they walk in and they try and figure out how much stuff they can pack into the house and not worry about how they're going to reach people for Christ. They don't go, I'm going to utilize this house. I'm going to utilize what Christ has given me in order to reach others through it. I think a lot of times we look at it and go, no, he gave it to me and it's mine now. Mine, mine, mine. Oh, mine. You get to this, and we all seen Finding Dory or Finding Nemo or whatever, and you got the pelicans and mine, 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 mine. That's how we treat everything. It's mine. Even in our relationships, what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. And that's how we get. And it's like, how is it that we're actually serving and helping one another? What are we doing here besides actually trying to be self-promoting and selfish and really not actually going out and furthering the kingdom of God at all? We've made it all about us. It's my stuff, it's my car, it's my house, it's my whatever, and we actually haven't done what God has asked us to do. He said, I want you to go out and serve others. I want you to be a servant. I want you to be the least of these. And yet we go, nope, I've got to be the greatest of all time. I have to be up here, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. What is your job? What is that? I got to be the best there. The question again, what is it that you are always doing? What is it that you are always doing, and how do you change that? If you look at Acts 9, Acts 9:36, and it says, in Joppa, there was a disciple named Tabitha. In Greek, her name is Dorcas. And she was always doing good and helping the poor. So this is the first time that this is the first Greek ever mentioned in the New Testament. So as you look at this and you see this, you just kind of know that it's kind of this is a big deal. This is the first Greek that's mentioned. And as you start looking at this, we can see, if you look at the history, she sews clothes for the poor. She's caring for the widows. Peter raises her from the dead. And so she sparked many people coming to Christ. This is what we see. Instead of always serving ourselves, she served others and became one of the greatest servants of all time. We see this and we go, you don't hear her talking about how she had all of this stuff at her house. She had all the jewels. She had all this stuff. No. We hear about how well she served others. Look at Mother Teresa. Everybody knows who Mother Teresa is, right? We've heard the name at least, right? So when you've heard the name, you go, well, man, she's really popular. She must have did some really good stuff. In fact, she did. She did some amazing things because she served. I hear she was a tyrant, but she served. Now, honestly, I hear that she was mean. But she was mean to help others get off of where they were at. And she helped people that were pregnant. She helped people that were divorced, helping the people that were poor, hurting. There was no qualifications. This is what it takes in order to be helped. She just helped. When you start looking at it and we start going, what is it that we are doing? And I'm granted, I know what you look and go, I'm no Mother Teresa. I'm no this. I'm no whatever it is. But are you always trying to seek and serve yourself? Is that what we're trying to do? Are we always trying to serve ourselves? Here's this. A better question is, how do we become a faithful servant? Right? This is the question that we start getting to is go, how do we get from being selfish, because most of us are, most of us just have no idea that, and we're selfish because we're raised this way, right? It's not, we're not, you weren't born to be selfish. I'll just tell you that now. If you look at children, you look at little children, they're always willing to give one another stuff. They become raised into being selfish. Go get your toys, go get this, go get whatever it is, and they start becoming selfish. Don't eat the last cookie. We start making it to where people become selfish. It's how we raise people. But how do you become a faithful servant? It really takes breaking that mold. How do we break that mold? What are we supposed to do? Now, I think sometimes we get to this point, we go, I can't go from where I'm at right now, Mike, to just opening my home and serving the homeless or doing this. And so sometimes it can be smaller. Smaller things can lead to greater things. I'm going to give you 3 stories today. And I want to tell you is that, so as I was going through and I saw this, these 3 stories I saw as another pastor taught them, and I said, I'm going to teach these to our group, because I saw it, I said, this is something that's just, it's too good not to talk about, because it's literally basic things that each one of us can do. Each one of us can do something that leads to greater things. As we can go from where we're at to doing something that is so much greater than us and actually having this relevance and being important. Number one, if you're taking notes, following along on our app, first one is bring a lunch. Bring a lunch. Simple story, right? Easy. The second one, offer a ride. Okay, these are the stories that we're going to share. Bring a lunch, offer a ride, and the third one is carry a towel. So I just want to stop there for a second. Does that seem like a challenge for anybody? Can you offer somebody a lunch? Can you bring a lunch to somebody? Right? It's pretty easy, right? It's a pretty easy statement. Can you offer somebody a ride? If somebody was to go, hey, I need a ride to church, could you offer them that ride? That's not difficult, right? Could you carry a towel? In fact, I watched somebody carry a towel in here today. Carried a whole bag of them. It makes it easy, right? I mean, it's like it's perfect. It's like it was an ordained thing that happened today. Number one, let's talk about this. Bring a lunch. King David, right? He's a war hero. We know him as a brave king. We know him as a man after God's own heart. Rose in his notoriety because he did what? He killed a giant, right? This is what we know him as. He's loved. He's honored. Women came and sang songs to him. They showed up and were like, ah! They don't do that at my front door. And so why was David so great? What happened? Most think that David was great because of the battle, right? We look at this and David's amazing because of the battle. David was criticized because he carried a basket, by the way. David is one of 8 of Jesse's sons. And I think that we forget this. His older sons were out fighting the Philistines. One day, Jesse said to David, take this basket of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread and carry them quickly to your brothers. See how your brothers are getting along and bring back a report on how they are doing. How do you win the battle? Sometimes it takes carrying a basket. He gets out there, and it was as simple as delivering lunch to his brothers. And he goes, I'll do it. He was willing to serve. He was willing to step into it. Do you want to be great? Sometimes it's an insignificant thing. It's out of the spotlight, and it's actually one of these things that others are focused on everything else, and the insignificant thing actually is what brings and wins the battle. We forget this, and he's selfless here. He goes, I'll just do it. I'll be part of it. You see, here's the thing, is that the greatest is the one who serves. He was serving. He was doing what his dad asked him to do. All he did was bring a lunch. That's all he did. He brought lunch. The next one, offer a ride. Think about this. About 553 years before Jesus, a prophet comes out, the prophet Zechariah comes out and declares a king would ride into Jerusalem on a donkey. This is what's declared. And it's shocking, right? We're supposed to see him on a white horse. He's supposed to have servants and a robe and a crown. Nope, a donkey. And so here's what happens is that we know that Jesus rides into Jerusalem on a donkey. Luke 19:31. If anyone asks you, why are you untying it? And say, the Lord needs it. Here's the thing. We don't know if this donkey's ever been ridden. We don't know the businessman. We don't know anything about it. We don't know his name, what he did. We don't know how many he owned. We don't know any of those things. And could you imagine if he didn't do it? Could you imagine if he, no, I need money for that. Could you imagine what would happen here? Oh, no, that one cost extra. No, got to make my money here. And we miss out on this. And see, it's not Eeyore either, right? It's not like, It doesn't define that. This is actually going to be one of these, this is going to be a luxury donkey. He doesn't come out and try and sell it. Hey, it's never been ridden. It's got no miles. Look at the luxury hooves. That's not how it comes out, right? But it's a gift made for Jesus. It's a ride. But a lot of times we miss this, right? We miss the servant attitude. We go, I'm not going to bring lunch. I'm not going to offer a ride. I'm not, and we've gotten to this point where we go, and some of us have become terrified of serving. Do you know that? Here's what I mean. You ever seen anybody, you're driving down the freeway, and you see them stuck on the side of the road? and you just look at them and just keep driving? You knew in your heart you were supposed to stop? You knew. You knew that you're like, I'm supposed to stop. There's an Eagles song that starts on a dark desert highway. What if you saw somebody stuck on the dark desert highway? Do you stop? Hey, do you need help? Or are you like, oh, that might be an axe murderer. I'm not stopping. You've watched too many slasher films. That's what's happened. We've gotten to this point where people that are in need, we don't stop for. We don't go, hey, do you need a ride? Can I help you? I have a cell phone. It works out here in this desert. Can I help you out? Nope. In fact, if you did stop, you'd only crack the window that much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? A little more. Oh, you want me to actually get out and help you and let you use my cell phone? That ain't going to fit out through that crack. You're not getting in here. But that's how we are. We've gotten to this point where we're so terrified of actually helping people because of what the response may be or what we may get in return. We go, I can't help them because if I help them, man, they might actually try to kill me. I might become a human sacrifice out here in the desert. That's how I get out of the Hotel California. We've kind of missed what we're supposed to. I know. I'm too loud. Turn it down, Mike. Okay. For those of you watching at home or anywhere else, you don't hear the dog barking, but there's a dog here. and he must be. Woohoo! And so, it completely threw me off track. Let me read some notes here again. Get back on. Okay, so here's the thing. We've gotten to this mindset that we've gone, I'm afraid of actually helping people. One of these, I got to put my wife on blast here. By the way, in case you don't know, my wife and I both live underneath a bus because I drive it over us all the time. And so here's what happened is that years ago, Melissa and I were really, really big into actually going out and serving the homeless. It's gotten to this point where her and I really just can't do it all the time. We love going to the parks, going out and reaching people and doing everything we can to really try and show people the love of Jesus. And it's just that our lives have gotten so busy with here. The church has gotten to the point. And so we have other people that have helped pick up that ministry for us. They go out and then we actually run the restoration project. And we do these things in order to help reach those that are lost and far because we just can't go out and do everything that we were doing in the past. But here's one of the things that happened. We're getting ready to go out. And in case at the time, all three of our children were smaller. So all of our kids were, and Melissa goes, the kids aren't going out there. They're going to stay in the car. I go, why? And she goes, what if one of them kills them? I go, you said something pretty close to that. And what happens if somebody tries to hurt them, or what happens if something happens along here? It's one of those fears that we've been and it's one of those things that we've been nurtured to go, you have to be afraid of that person. You have to be afraid of here. And it's not one of those things, it could be a justified fear, it could be an unjustified fear. It's one of those things that we look at and go, all of a sudden we see that, and the way that we were raised, it really defines that. Anybody in here, were you raised in a house that never locked the door? I was raised in a house that never, ever locked the door. And we lived in a city, by the way. We lived in a city, we never locked the front door. My wife was not. No, my wife was raised to go check that lock twice. You go over there and you make sure that it's locked and then walk away and then go back and do it again, okay? Make sure that it's you double check. And so you'll see it at night. I remember being able to just walk in the house. And you're in. It didn't matter what time. Didn't matter. People were like, keys, what are those? I remember the keys to the pickup truck that was parked in our driveway. Guess where they were at? They were in the ignition all the time. And if they weren't in the ignition, if you went someplace and you're like, it might get stolen if we leave them here, you put them in the sun visor, right? You put them up there and that was where the keys went. Always. It didn't matter what was going on, didn't matter where you're at. We went to the state fair. Guess where the keys were? In the visor. They go, it's just because we don't want them to get lost while we're out here doing stuff. What if the car gets stolen? We're 80 miles away from home. The car was always there. Always. We came out and be like, man, car's here again. And what a shock that is. I'd really be shocked that it was there. But How were you raised? And how does it define that? Because what happens is you may be called to serve, and you're like, nope. This is what I've seen, and this is what I've heard, and it makes it to where we don't feel comfortable being able to go out, get out of the car and go, what can I do? How can I help? Now, I will tell you, there's tragedies that happen. Last year, a youth pastor was killed on the side of the road. He stopped because he was supposed to help somebody. But, by the way, that doesn't happen very often, and people get stranded daily. Daily. You're actually more likely to be killed in your own home than you are to be killed helping a stranger on the side of the road. With the doors locked, by the way. With the doors locked. Go ahead and lock them. They're still going to kick in the door and come get you. I'm not trying to raise fear. What I'm trying to do is raise fear of not serving. There's fear. Get out and start serving. Stop sitting around going, oh, I can't do that. They're going to come get me. No, they're going to come get you at home. That's where all your stuff is and all your money is. I'm just playing. If you're at home watching right now, they're coming for you. No, I'm kidding. and you should have been here. No, I'm kidding. Some of you guys. So, offer a lunch. Bring a lunch. Offer a ride. Carry a towel. Carry a knife. Carry a towel. Not a knife. Carry a towel. Just before Passover. What do you think's happening just before Passover, Thursday night? A secret meeting in an upper room. Jesus knew he was about to give his life. And I think arguments start to spin up in the room. I would love to be like one of those stalker type flies, the ones that are on the wall just listening for everything. Like, what's going on? How's this happening? What's getting ready to happen? And could you imagine the argument that happens? Who's the greatest? Could you imagine this argument? Can you imagine around the table, this argument starts to kick up, and John loved everybody. Now, Peter walked on water. He's the greatest. And then, in John 13, this is what it says, in John 13, verses 4 through 5, so Jesus got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing. Now, it's kind of important that you guys know that this is actually kind of one of these customary things. He didn't just strip down naked and be like, hey, what's up? That's not where this went. He got to a position to be able to go, I want to help, I want to serve. And what do we do when we anybody in here, when you start to get ready to go do the work, do you take off your jacket? You take off your outer clothing, right? You take off everything, and so you get ready to go out and go, hey, I'm getting ready to go do this. I'm getting ready to go put in work. He was expecting to go put in work. Took off his outer clothing and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet. Now, kind of a common courtesy. So remember, if you go walking let's say you go walking for 50 miles today. That's not an unreasonable walk back then, by the way. You'd imagine people covering 16 miles a day. Just imagine that. Now, just say you're going to go cover 16, 20 miles today. You're just going to go walk, okay? Now, throw a little twist in there. Let's take your shoes off. And let's put a piece of leather on the bottom of your feet. Now go make that 20-mile walk. At the end of the day, what are your feet going to look like? Now, I want to remind you something. Our streets are paved, and we have sidewalks. Back then, it was dirt. It wasn't one of those, hey, this is a perfect walkway, it's cobblestone. And if it was cobblestone, that would hurt, right? If anybody ever walked barefoot on cobblestone? It ain't fun. And the only reason why I can speak to it is because I didn't walk barefoot on it, but my butt hit it when I was in the snow. And that didn't feel good either. So I can imagine what my feet would feel like after walking 20 miles just on dirt. And I'm a tenderfoot, by the way, in case you didn't know that. My feet, if I walk around the house on carpet, I go, man, my feet hurt. I need to get some shoes on or some slippers or something. I'm a tenderfoot. Apparently Matt's a tenderfoot as well. and so so can you imagine walking 20 miles and getting there? Do you know what your feet would look like? And how about this? Do you know what they would smell like? Delicious, right? Good. It's not, right? Good is not what you would describe. You would go, these are rough. And here's what Jesus does. Jesus Everybody's looking to him, and he gets down and he goes, all right. And this is a kind of a common courtesy. When people would show up at somebody who was wealthy or rich, they would have a servant come wash the feet. They would take your jacket, wash your feet. Would you like your feet washed? Right, is that something, if you walked into somebody's house right now and they came up to your door and they were like, hey, can I wash your feet? Yeah, you might be a little weird if you asked that when you walked in the house, can I wash your feet? But that was common back then. It was common courtesy. But see, the person who would do it would be a servant. It was a low and humiliating task. It wasn't one of those things that you're like, hey, and it wasn't like going to get a pedicure done either, by the way. Trust me, the person who was doing it was like, I want to get this done as fast as possible, and I don't care if you leave a tip or not. Your feet are bad. I'm telling you, I'm afraid to take my shoes off sometimes in front of people. That's, but this is back then, and so I like everything about you, from your head to your ankles. And but this is what he does, is he sits down and he washes feet. Jesus stops doing what he was doing. He got up, grabs a towel, and washes feet. He becomes a servant. Here's the thing. Jesus, who's the Son of God, the living water, the Lamb of God, washes feet. We miss this so often. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega, washes feet. And here's the thing. We go, it's beneath me. That's beneath me. And we miss this. Our Redeemer was willing to serve and to wash feet, and we go, no, I can't do it. I will tell you is that I was at a summer camp one year. I wasn't a leader at the time. This is 10 years ago. And one of the nights, they were doing, it was the last night of camp, actually. And so I just want you to think about this. 150 teenagers or so, maybe close to 200. It was a good year. And they have these different stations set up, and they had a cross, and they took and put notes, and they were putting notes on the cross. And basically their sins and the things that they wanted to shed, the things that they wanted to give up, and they were just going, Jesus, you just cover these and you take care of them. They had a prayer station set up, and they had basically a room where you would just go in and you could just go and get prayer, and it wasn't leaders praying for them, it was teens praying for other teens. It wasn't like one of these things I have to go submit to my leader in order to get prayer. It was people wanting to help one another out and just pray for one another. But in the back of the room, right by the door that I was standing at, they brought in these buckets, and it was a foot washing station, and they brought in 4 buckets, and and these teens went back and started washing each other's feet. And so what the thing was is that as they would do this, I was in tears watching this happen and watching this transpire, because the teens would come together afterwards, they would embrace and they would pray for one another right then. It was such a humbling experience that it made me, I said, there's no way. I walked away from that night, and then they did a prayer walk. They also went up they carried a brick to go build an altar to signify something significant had happened today. So at the end of the day, they took a brick and they went, that's why altars were built. To signify something significant had happened. It wasn't about going and praying at the altar. It was like, this had happened, and we need to be able to look back at this point. We need to be able to look at this day and see what happened. And so as I walked up there was teens that were in tears as they were going up, because they had let go of so much, and they had said, I want to serve, and I want to be used by God. See, here's the thing, is that for us, we've gotten to this point that we want to be served by God. We want, God, give me this. God, I need this. Instead of, he's looking at it, Matthew West says this amazing stuff. He goes, why didn't you do something? He goes, I did. I sent you. I sent you. God, why don't you do something? I did. Each one of us, so here's the thing. Every day, when you guys come here, not every day, but on Sundays or once a month or whatever, you're walking in the door on a regular basis, you walk past, there's a I don't even know how the display is, but there's cards that are in that display. And a lot of times we just walk right past the cards. We look at them and go, those are invite cards, or those are whatever. And so those cards are actually significant, because if you actually take that card and you actually go on our website, there's ideas in order to do something significant, to be able to give to somebody. Not a physical thing, or maybe it is a physical thing, but I have a list of 25 that I put on our website. And if you go to our website and you just go to something to show that God loves you, and you just go to our website and you can find this. But they're just 25 ideas to be able to show somebody that, hey, look, God loves you. And we've missed this. We've completely missed actually going out and serving and actually going out and helping people. And we've gotten this whole mindset of going, I have to take care of me before I can take care of somebody else. We've gotten the whole plane mentality. You know, anybody ever been on an airplane in here? What do they tell you? Oh, put the mask on yourself so that you can help then the next person put their mask on. I used to laugh and say, that was just, you put that mask on first so that you don't have to smell everybody crapping on themselves. But here's the thing is that really, you guys are here getting fed, getting the mask on first now, right? We're getting the mask on now, so now we can go out and help somebody else put the mask on. We're going, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, and this is where I'm supposed to go, but right now we're getting the mask put on. Here's the thing, we've gotten selfish. We put the mask on, and we go, oh, if they put it on, they're going to get oxygen too. I can't have that. That's what we do. Instead of going, I've gotten the good news, I need to go share it. We've got this whole mindset is like, you can't have what I have. You can't have the joy that I have. And I'm not just talking about physical things. I'm talking about joy. I'm talking about this. See, guys, we miss that in our hearts we have anybody know that giving is the closest that you will be to God? When you're giving, that'll be the closest that you'll ever be to God. When you're giving of yourself, your time, your energy, your finances, that is when you'll be the closest to God. The problem has been throughout all of our lives, we continue to go, I want to be selfish. I want the last cookie. I'll prevent my kids from getting the last cookie. That's what's happened. We tell our kids, oh, you can't eat the last cookie. Why? Because I'm going to. My wife is pointing at me. Why can't I have the last brownie? Because I'm going to have the last brownie. That's why. Why do you get it? Because I am 3 times your size. That's why. But that's how we've gotten in our lives. That's how we've gotten with almost everything. That we've gone, I'm going to take it. It's mine. It's sheer size. Sheer dominance. It gets to be mine. And we've missed that we're supposed to give. We're supposed to go, I need you to have this. I want you to have this. I want you to, and really we've been called to go out and serve our community. And it's not just about giving of things. It's about giving of time and energy and love. See, that's the thing that we've missed. We go out over and over and over again. And see, it's been brought up in a couple of last staff meetings. We go, as we're sitting there, we go, yeah, we're going to go out and we're going to do this, and at our event. And we go, and literally they go, well, what about love? Are we going to give love someplace in there? Do we have time for love in there? Does that actually fit into the schedule of this event? But we miss that a lot of times. You know, I was told, are we doing an event with an agenda? Yeah, the agenda to reach people for Christ. Yeah, but is there another agenda in there? Yeah, to reach people for Christ and to get them to come to church. Is that what we're supposed to do? Or are we really supposed to go out and just show a community that they're being loved? This is just what it looks like. There is no ulterior motive. There's nothing else. This is just what it looks like. This is who we are. And if you choose to come, then you choose to come. But this is us serving and going, this is who we are and we want to love on you. See, most of us in this room, we've gotten out of the routine of serving and doing what God has asked us to do. We've gotten into the routine of being selfish and doing what we're supposed to do. But we've gotten out of the routine of doing what God has asked us to do. God says, I want you to love others. I want you to help one another. I want you to be willing to sacrifice. I love in the book of Acts, and when you start reading it, it goes, they gave so that nobody had a need. I just want to tell you right now, it's not just talking about finances, but that's a major portion of it. But I want you to know is that around this room, I talk to you guys. I sit in the lobby, I listen. There's a lot of people in here with needs. I just want you to know, and it's not just financial needs. There's emotional needs. There's people in here that are just craving somebody to love them. Not to love them in your perverted mind way of loving them, but to love them the way that God would ask us to love them. To go out and go, hey, I just want to be here if you need a shoulder to cry on. And see, we've gotten to this point where we're going, I want to be able to do that, but I'm not willing to be the person that's going to have that, this is an expensive shirt. You're not going to put no tears on this. Never get that salt out. That's the mindset we've gotten to, though. We've got, no, we're not going to do that. Or somebody comes in and goes, can you hold my baby for me? When was the last time they ate? Because I'm not paying either end. If it comes out, you're taking care of it. And that's just the mindset that we've gotten to. Instead of going, yes. Now my wife, she has this whole different mindset. She goes, you give me a baby, it's going to be mine because I'm baby fever. But I want you guys to think about this. How well have you served? And let me even just ask this question. Let's take community off the table for a minute. How well have you served the people in the church? Let's just take community off of it. We don't even have to go out and serve the community right now. If we can't serve the people at home, right? We can't serve the people in our own community here. How well are we serving? How can we go out and serve in the community? And so you look around and we go, I look around the room and I can go, there's needs everywhere throughout this room. And yet, the Acts church, this example church that we all want to be, the reason why they wrote about Acts, and that's what we go back to, they taught nobody had a need because people in the room were willing to serve and sacrifice for one another. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to serve and sacrifice, and it starts here. But we've gotten to this point, and we call it me church. What are you doing for me? What are you doing for me to feel comfortable? What are you doing so that I get the perfect cup of coffee? What are you doing for this? Instead of going, how can I be part of making it to where others get the perfect cup of coffee? How can I be making it to where people get the best parking spot? How can I make it to where people have the best experience? How can I make it to where people come to know who God and Christ is? When you look at that and go, oh, no. Mike, I have to be comfortable. And when you say something that's offensive, like you did 5 times today, you make it to where I want to just leave. Or when you say something that's convicting, I don't like it when you convict me. I don't like it when you say I should be giving and I let the empty envelope go in the thing. I don't like it when you do that, Mike. It makes it to where I want to leave. See, guys, I'm telling you, that's the Holy Spirit speaking to you. Not the conviction, not the conviction part, not my crude sense of humor. But the conviction part, which is what we ignore, which drives us out of the building. We go, I don't like it that he said I'm supposed to do something, and we walk out. I'm supposed to serve, and we leave. I'm supposed to give, and we leave. I'm supposed to be willing to give of my time, and we leave. I'm supposed to be helping my neighbor, and we leave. Those are all things that we walk away from the door, and we go, I'm a Christian. Really? You self-identify as a Christian by going, I got convicted, I'm supposed to serve, I'm supposed to help, I'm supposed to give, and then we go, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to find the church where they don't ask me to do that. I want to tell you something. If you find that church that doesn't ask you to do that, that's not a Christian church. I want you to know that very clearly. If you go to a church and they don't ask you to serve, they don't ask you to give, they don't ask you to actually start putting your relationship with God before money, then you're not in a Christian church. Right. I want you to know that you might be in a church that's there to make you feel good, and maybe they do lots of good stuff. And but I don't know any Christian churches in the area that are that way. And so you can walk out of here and go, Mike, you offended me. Was it biblical? I just want to ask you that. Was it biblical? Because if it was biblical, and if you go, I don't know, well, you shouldn't go anywhere. It's just the truth. Here's the whole point of this. I'm 10 minutes over the allotted time that I give myself, but here's the major point. When are you willing to give up you and start doing what God has asked you to do? When are you willing to give up you? Because that's what I see. Guys, and I'll tell you, I'm a Facebook stalker. I don't put a whole lot of stuff out there. I don't post a whole lot of stuff, but I'll run through it twice a day. I run through it in the morning. I run through it at night. So if you don't ever get a response, by the way, if you message me, I'm pretty much never going to respond to those. So email me if you really want to get in touch with me. But I'll write, and so I go on there and I go through and I see what's happening in your lives. And I see what you post, and I see what you don't post, and I see, because I talk and I have conversations with you. I just want to know is what you're doing to help others. I want you to just go through your Facebook feed. Just go to your page, your own page for the last 30 days. Go look and see how much stuff you've done for others. Or has it all been about you? Now, you might be one of those people that's kind of gotten to me where like, I'm tired of Facebook and you haven't posted anything in 30 days. And you go, ha, Mike, I win. You might have won a little bit, but the reality is probably means that you're not even communicating with people there. You're not talking to anybody. You're not helping people and loving on people. And I know that some of you are just picking up the phone and actually doing life with one another, and so I don't want to lump you into my generality, but what are we doing to serve one another? What are we doing to make it to where nobody has a need? What are we doing to love on one another? What are we doing to help people get from where they're at to where God wants them to be? I'm about to put somebody on blast here for a second because I have to. And it's not a bad blast. It's actually really good. And so you're gonna hear from two people in the congregation today. One person has a small idea. The other person has absolutely no idea. I'm getting ready to put them on blast right now. Ebony, can you come over for a second? See, I got completely shocked. Like, oh my God, is he really calling me? So, by the way, this is going to take a whole lot of courage on her part, and so I want you to be willing to show some support. And not for you, for them out there. Hold that for a second. You're going to say something.
Okay.
So, when you walked in the door here, how was life?
Horrible.
You're talking to Mike.
Horrible. My life is horrible when I walk through here. I just got out of surgery, and I got a text message saying, come join us at the Edge. Like, you guys were texting me for, I think it was 2 years. 2 years before I could.
Step this way.
Okay.
We're right in front of our mic, the speaker. There we go.
2 years, yeah, I think Mike texted me for 2 years before I actually came, because they provided me Christmas 2015 when I first came back from Texas, and then I got really sick. Then I got 9 surgeries, and then I came here because I said, I text back one day. I said, y'all keep texting me, I'm going to come. And I came. But it was horrible. My life was horrible right now. I was homeless, living out my car with my daughter. My son was living elsewhere because I didn't want him to, he's 13, so I didn't want him to know he was homeless. We slept in bed bugs. We slept in a park. We was, we didn't have nothing. I didn't want to cry.
It's okay.
I didn't think about it, but we didn't have nothing. It was really, really bad for us.
So today, though.
It's night and day.
So today, you have a place. You have an apartment.
I have a whole apartment.
And all the furniture that's in there.
And I don't know everybody who gave me something. But everybody, I don't have still to this day, I still don't have one need in my apartment. I've been in my apartment, I think, 4 months now. And I'm still without, towels, Steve and Karen, and dishes, and couches, and beds, and bed frames, and jelly, bread, turkey, cheese, Christmas trees. Still to this day, it's amazing what God has done since I walked in this door. Amazing. My life is night and day.
And the reason why I brought her up here is because she walked in, and you need to hear. I can go. I have a person who's sitting in this room right now and go that they've come in and they were lost. They were hurt. They had a relationship with God, but it
disintegrated. It evaporated because I was upset with him because I didn't understand what was going on. Why am I so hurt, broken, and bruised, and nobody loved me? I don't get it. Why nobody care about me and my baby?
So, the group that's in this, and she's part of a small group that came around and loved and said, we're going to take care of this. We're going to help. We're going to give. We're going to move you in. We're going to do all of this. But it came because she walked in. And has anybody ever asked you for anything?
Not one thing. I asked you, what can I do?
So so we were told, and I want you guys to hear something because she's been having people pray and pray for her and just continue just everything that's going on. And so this last week she went to the doctor because when she walked in here she had a bone disease going on and she had an infection. And this last week you went to your doctor.
Yes.
And your doctor was on the phone with the pathologist.
Yes, with four other doctors because he couldn't believe it. We were looking at the infection. Like right now, if I go get my MRIs and stuff, the infection is there. We can see it. But the bone and the pathologist in the blood says no infection no more. And he said there's nothing there. And they were like so shocked that I have to go back in April just to get it all done again, just to make sure it's absolutely gone. Because my doctor, he don't know Jesus. He don't know miracles. You know.
So you literally go from being lost, from having nothing. You had a car. You had a car.
Thank God for that car too, because that was our home, you know.
And to having a place, to having healing, to having people who love you and check up on you, to people having. And so, by the way, this is, I just get to sit on the sidelines and go, wow. I really do, because it's not me. I can tell you that right now. All I did was start a relationship with her. It started with a text message, by the way.
It really did.
It started with a text message. And so when you hear this and you see this, there is real life transformation that happens when we actually come together and we go, this is what we're supposed to do. This is what we're supposed to do. And we go, oh, I don't serve. Why? Because she's not the only person that's hurting in this room right now, by the way. She's not the only person who's struggling, and it's not financially. There's other things that are going on. There's hurts. There's healing that needs to happen. There's people in here that are sick right now. Some of you walked in, don't even know that you're sick. You have no idea that you're sick. Well, who's praying for you? Who's spending time with you? Who's calling to check up and go, oh, I don't do a connection card, Mike, because, I don't really want you sending me a text message. Wow. You're the only one, by the way.
No, 2 years straight, they have not missed one Sunday. I'm never going to forget this. 2 years straight, I never was coming, because I'm going to be honest, I'm black, as y'all can see. I'm 100% African. No, I'm just being real now, so y'all can really see how miraculous this is. I left the church for 7 years because I don't feel like the churches I've been through show love. They show more pride and more like, this is my church, and you have to be a certain way to come to my church. And it's not about, like, when I met him, he was like, I don't care nothing about, I help you find a church, because it's all about the kingdom. It's not about my church. I don't even have a church. It's God's church. I was like, that's different. That was immediately different. And I'm like, we different. I'm like, well, I'm just being honest. And I was like, if I come on Sunday, I hope they accept me. So that's why I was sitting in the back for a little while, because I didn't want, if you look around, it's not too many of me, Amen. And no, keep it No, this is really being 100% honest. But I'm talking about, especially with the way the world is, and at the time that I came in here, because this is just this year, y'all know how, what's on the news all the time, and who getting gunned down, and all the stuff on Facebook, and Black Lives Matter, and it's all lives matter, and all this and all that. So to come in here, I was not like, I was worried, but I had already met him. So I'm like, if they're anything like him, I might work it out, it might work, And I swear to God, I've never been loved like this before. Y'all, I've never, ever, ever, from everybody hug me, say something to me. Your husband Will. Is he watching?
He might be. If not, he'll see it later.
I love you, Will. You're a good person. Like, people that, y'all did a lot for me and don't know me, and then it was like, no, like, race thing. It was strictly love. It was like, you one of us. Come in. You're hurting, you're crying, you live in your car. Everything he told me to do, I did. I'm talking about no door. My mom is a witness. Not one door opened until I came here and did what he said. He didn't say, go pray 800 times and sit in the, he said, I need you to go down there. I need you to tell him this, this, and this, and do this. And then come back to me and tell me what happened. Like, he cared that much that not only am I going to tell you what to do, I want to know what happened, People tell you all the time, go do. But when you have a responsibility to come back, because I told him, I was like, I've been there already. I ain't going back. He was like, I want you to come back and tell me what happened. And if he wouldn't have said that, I probably wouldn't have went. But I'm talking about I went to that appointment, and I left with an apartment. And and I'm not even lying. Like, I didn't apply for that apartment. I never seen that apartment. It was mine when I got there. So, you know, they made me do the application and everything. And then I went just to look at the apartment. The lady gave me my keys. You know, I didn't pay nothing, y'all. I'm talking about life has changed since I came here. And I love y'all. I appreciate y'all night and day. I'm still going through some things, so pray for me. But y'all, the serving that I wouldn't be here. I'm never leaving here. Wherever y'all go, I'm going. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've never experienced nothing like this in my life.
You're stuck with
In
us
my
now.
life.
It is working, apparently. We just need
Somebody shut up.
Sorry. You can
I
get
love
that back to
y'all.
her. So I just want you, so as you see this, real life change happens here. It just does. But it's not just through the word, it's also because of what you do. It's literally how we act, how we respond, what we do, because when we just show up and we don't do anything and we just show up and you're like, I love just to come to church and sit here and be a bump on the log. That's what you weren't asked to do. You were asked to serve. You were asked to be part of this. You were asked to be a minister. And you go, I'm not a minister. Yes, you are. You are. And it's you don't realize your actions minister to other people. How do you love? How do you share? And how do you do what God has asked you to do when you just sit there and go, I'm not doing anything? When we go out and we go, hey, and I'm telling you right now, is that everybody who helped her did it because they loved her, because they were going, we want to be able to see her be successful. We want her to get her work. We want her to be where God wants her to be. It wasn't about going, you know, if we give Ebony some stuff, God will bless us 10 times over. We'll give her a table, we'll end up with 10 tables back. It'll be amazing. And see, that's not how it worked out. But I'll tell you is that everybody who gave something, they're not hurting because they gave.
Yeah.
They're not going, oh, our life changed because we gave, you know, did their life change? Some of them got an upgrade out of it. They gave away something and they go, there's not a couch here anymore, let's go buy a new one. And they had the money to be able to do that. I'm telling you guys is that it's amazing when we actually serve and we do what God has asked us to do, what happens? What happens in this place? What sort of life change happens?
Can I just say one more thing, too?
No.
Just one more.
Of course you can.
Y'all didn't give me hand-me-down stuff either. I got stuff fresh out the box. I got a couch that looks almost new, still to this day. Like, I got a bed. Y'all, I just want it wasn't like, I can't even talk about it. I swear, I love y'all. I really appreciate that. Y'all could have gave me trash, you know, and I would have took it like treasure, but y'all gave me good stuff, man, because I didn't have nothing. And y'all don't know how much that helped me. Y'all don't know cool. How much that really helped my heart, how much that helped my mind, how much that, you know, I've been very depressed and everything to come here and really helping me so much.
So, and to just top one other thing off, by the way, her son is a student at our school.
Yeah.
And even with that, we've seen miraculous change with him as well. And so his attitude, his heart, everything about him we're seeing that change too. And so, guys, I will tell you is that just the little things do an amazing thing here. And so I want you to know is that what you do here and your giving and all those things, this is what it's about. The serving is what it's about. I'm really over now. So I'm going to pray because I have more stuff to talk about and I have more things to do. But I really want you guys to start looking at this and going, how am I serving and what am I doing? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? What does God ask me to be doing? What is it that it looks like? What is it that what is it that we're supposed to be doing as a church? And I'm going to tell you right now, if we can't get love right in this building, then we're not going to get love right out in the community. We have to get it right here, and we have to start serving, we have to start loving, and we have to start doing what God asks us to do. And it starts with the people in this room not having needs. It says it in the Bible. It says they had no needs because of the people around them loved them. They were willing to sacrifice. They were willing, I'll give up so that you can have. We have to have a change in heart. And it starts, maybe it starts because we've heard the story of success that happened just now. And now is it over? No, it's not. We've just got started with Ebony. We really have. We've just gotten started. And it's amazing, and I'll just tell you, is that it's amazing to see how it's got a ripple effect to it. How by helping one person, it ripples out and helps others. Because I want you guys to know something, is that last night, Ebony came and cleaned the church. She's the one who came in and cleaned, and just knowing that, hey, what can I do to get back? And I can do this. And she just came in and she just said, I'm going to do it. And so, guys, I'm just telling you that it's about serving. And so when you walk in and you go, hey, the bathrooms are clean. Must not have been Mike last night. And so you saw what happened. So I just want you to know it has this ripple effect, and it goes out, and it goes, and it just makes it to where the more that we do things, the more that we can actually reach others. We really can. But we have to get it right first here. This is where it starts at. Let's pray. Father, thank you. Thank you that you've given each one of us this task and said, I want you to love, and I want you to just to go out and reach others for me. And you didn't say to go out and minister. You didn't say to go out and go preach the word. You just said to go out and love and to go say, this is who I am and this is who he is. My God is amazing, because even when the bad stuff is happening, I got a group of believers that are with me, helping me get through all of this bad. They're loving with me. They're with me to get me through from everything that's going on, no matter where I'm at, if I'm in my car or if I'm in an apartment. Just wherever, that they just want to love on me. And it doesn't matter what we look like or where we come from. Just that each one of us wants to get into the gates of heaven. Hear those words, well done, good and faithful servant. Because we loved and we ministered to one another. And we sacrificed so that others could have when they didn't have anything. Father, we're thankful that we get this chance to be able to do it all over again. That we get to be able to say, I'm ready to step into that. I'm ready to be part of that. I'm ready to be part of loving others and part of reaching out and part of going out and doing life to where we care and love for one another. When we see a need, we're going, how can I help fix it? Whether that's on the side of the road or the person that walks in this door that is desperately seeking help but doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to share, doesn't want to put it on a connection card. Father, allow us to be a little vulnerable. This is who we are. Allow us to start breaking down the walls of the calluses that are on our hearts and going, we need to start sharing and loving. And even though we've been hurt in the past, that hurt has led us to good sometimes. But we want to be able to love, and we want to be able to reach others, and we want to be able to do life with others. And it starts with us starting to tear down these walls that have prevented us from doing that. Father, we're thankful for today. So thankful that we get this chance to start over and go, I want to do it anew with you. I've done it wrong in the past, and now I'm ready to step out and do what you've asked me to. We're excited to see what you're going to do and how you're going to work to the edge and what lives you're going to transform that are here and in our community and across this world, and each person who gets to be touched by this service and who experiences it no matter where they are. Father, thank you. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.